All right. Looks like we're live. Let's see here. All right. So this is part two of the learn this AWS CDK with Python. I don't know what happened, but my previous Cloud9 instance disappeared, or it was in a different region that I can't find now. So um, went ahead and created a new one anyways. So uh, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the second part doesn't kind of, uh, you know, start where we left off. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of like a different time to be, a different time for me to be streaming. Um, morning time. So got the coffee here, which is essential. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try to stick to like a more of a morning routine for these learning workshops. Um, See how it goes. All right, so let's see here. All right, we'll just go ahead and kick off here. So, writing constructs. In this chapter, we'll define a new construct called hit counter. This construct can be attached to any Lambda function that's used with as an API gateway backend, and it'll count how many requests were issued to each URL path. It will store this in DynamoDB. All right. So define the hit counter API. Create a new file for our hit counter construct. Okay, yeah. So this is what I was kind of worried about, is that it's okay. So I guess I'll just do another CK init language equals Python. Oh wait, oops. Make their. You know what? I guess I could just go back to here and yeah, I'll just do this real quick. All right. I think that will get us back to activate our virtual environment. Pip install. So I'm just kind of going through and making sure we're back at the point. Um, oops, the point we were before. All right, this should get us back to square one now. I'll just do a CDK. Let me just I wish they just made it easier to increase the font size of the terminal, but that would make too much sense, I guess. Okay. Hopefully that's kind of readable, but let's do CDK clear, actually, and then CDK deploy. Just to make sure everything looks okay for, where we left off in the previous part. Yep, looks like it worked. So, yeah, if we just run curl. All right, so we are back, and now we can move on to writing constructs. So here it says we need to make another file in our CDK application. That we'll call hit counter. I'm gonna just copy this in. We declared a new construct class called hitCounter. As usual, constructor arguments are scope, ID, and quargs. And we propagate them to the CDK construct base class. Okay. The hitCounter class also takes one explicit keyword parameter downstream of type lambda.I function. This is where we're going to plug in the lambda function we created in the previous chapter so it can be hit counted. Okay. More coffee. All right. So it looks like we're going to bring in DynamoDB, the DynamoDB module. Okay. Yeah, I wonder if last time this is the reason why, because the reason why we didn't get code completion is because the CDK version wasn't like the most recent one. These Cloud9 instances they come with version 1.510, but I think the latest version is 1.560. But yeah, last time I tried to like install SG AWS CDK. See what happens. Maybe it's because I've already like started working within it, but anyways, let's continue and see if we can get through it without all the different, the version dependencies and all that jazz. Okay, so create the file lambda. So we need to create a new lambda file here. We call this one hit count.py. And then so looks kind of similar to like the like in our previous workshop when we were working with data and the Boto 3 SDK to like put data into DynamoDB, read data in DynamoDB, and then like update or delete. So this should look familiar if you followed along with the previous workshop, but let's look in more detail what it's doing. So again, like we're familiar with the update item method here. Adds hits as they increment by 1. So it's basically calling this update item every time it's the lambda function is invoked. It increments the value by 1. And then it will respond with that value of the of the item. Okay, cool. So discovering resources at runtime, you'll notice that the code relies on two environment variables, hits table name, downstream function name. Since the actual name of the table and downstream function will only be decided when we deploy our app, we'll need to wire up these values from our construct code. We'll do that in the next section. Okay, so add resources to the hit counter construct. Now let's define the AWS Lambda function and the DynamoDB table in our hit counter construct. Go back to the hit counter.py and we'll add the following highlighted code. So we'll come back over here and we'll bring in AWS Dynamo as DBB. Okay. So we have to use this property decorator up here. That. And within here, you add the table. So we're just using the CDK to create a DynamoDB table. And then we are adding this Lambda function that we just added to the Lambda folder. So it's creating the Lambda function based on this hit count .py file that we just created. And it's just, it's grabbing. So this is like the file location for where that Lambda code is located. The hit count is the name of the file, and handler is the name of the function within the file. It's also setting these environment variables, which is pretty interesting. Okay. So let's see. We defined a DynamoDB table with path as the partition key. We defined a Lambda function, which is bound to the Lambda hit count handler. We wired the Lambda environment variables to function name and table name of our resources. Late bound values. The function name and table name properties are values that only resolve when we deploy our stack. Notice that we haven't configured these physical names when we define the table / function name, only logical IDs. This means that if you print their values during synthesis, you'll get a token, which is how the CDK represents these late bound values. You should treat tokens as opaque strings. This means you can concatenate them together, for example, but don't be tempted to parse them in your code. That's interesting. Okay, let's see. So add a hit counter to our stack. Um, okay, so our hit counter is ready. Let's use it in our app. Open the original CDK workshop stack. So this has the initial Lambda function and API gateway. So we bring in the other construct that we created. So from hit counter, import hit counter. So basically, we're just bringing in this other construct that we created in the hit counter.py. And then now we can, sort of interact with the resources that we specified within that construct, right? So hello with counter. Okay, so this is where this kind of tripped me up earlier because when we wrote this part before we added the resources to the I call it the base class, I guess. um, I noticed that we specified this, in the environment variables, we specified this downstream variable. But obviously it wasn't in here until we just added it uh, to the base class where we're saying the downstream lambda is actually from here. So yeah, okay. So now we change. So we're changing this from there to hello with counter dot handler. So notice that we changed our API gateway to hello with counter instead of my lambda. This basically means that whenever our endpoint is hit, API gateway will route the request to our hit counter. Uh, which will log and hit and relay, which will log the hit and relay it over to the my lambda function. Then the responses will be relayed back in the reverse order all the way to the user. I'm gonna actually, let's do that. That looks a little bit better. Forgot that last time I did that and it looked a little bit better. So okay. So now it looks like, yeah, we can just go ahead and deploy. So it looks like it's making some changes, obviously since we changed the Lambda integration on the API gateway. There's obviously some, it needs to remove some of the IAM permissions that it had previously to add to the new hit counter Lambda function. I like how like this like progress bar. It's kind of nice. I don't think I've seen that in previous versions of the CDK, so it's kind of cool. Almost there. So it looks like it'll eventually spit out. Okay, there we get the API endpoint, and I think we can curl it again. Yeah, looks like we get a 502 as well, which was expected. Okay, so viewing CloudWatch logs for Lambda function. The first thing to do is go and look at the logs for our hit counter Lambda function. There are many tools that can help you do that, like SAM CLI and AWS logs. In this workshop, we'll show you how to find the logs through the console. So open the Lambda console. Wonder if this will open up in, darn it. Let me just open that up in a new. Okay, so let's click on monitoring. Click on view logs in CloudWatch. Select the most recent log group. Look for the most recent message containing string error message. You'll likely see something like this. Okay, so is this it? An error occurred, access denied exception when calling the update item operation. So it gives us the ARN of the Lambda function, I think, is not authorized to perform DynamoDB update on resource. Okay. Yeah, so it seems like our Lambda function can't write to our DynamoDB table. This actually makes sense. We didn't grant those permissions. So we need to allow Lambda to read write to our DynamoDB table. And this is one of my favorite parts of the CDK. I think I mentioned this before, is that like um, typically I'd be like dreading, trying to write a IAM policy or, uh, like, uh, yeah, writing, trying to figure out like the role and then attaching a policy to a role. And then IAM is just a rabbit hole of unpleasant times. But you can see here, I mean, the like just being able to write one line right here is being, grant read write to data, or, specifying the DynamoDB table and then granting read write to the Lambda function. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. Like, okay, so this is like right there, I think. Oh yeah, it's not within. I wonder if it's just. Yeah, I think it goes there. CDK and deploy. Oops, not the plot. And you can see here, yeah, the IAM statement changes that it's gonna provide is that this is, it's providing, allowing access from our Lambda function, uh, and allowing it the permissions to update items, which was the error that we received in the CloudWatch logs. Uh-oh. Scroll down too far. Looks like we might get another error, but we'll see. We'll see what it is this time. I think the point that they're trying to make is that it's an iterative process, and um, you sort of, as in like any development project, you just sort of make a change and then execute or test, and then continue to troubleshoot. Not all rainbows and butterflies with this kind of stuff. So, and it's kind of like the reason why I'm doing like the live streaming is because rather than making this like cookie cutter like video, like I kind of wanted to note all the different points in which I like have to troubleshoot um, different things, instead of making it, just seem like it's really easy and simple, because it's really never is, at least for me. So yeah, we get the 502 error again. Let's see what it is. I think we can go back into our logs and let's look at our log groups again. Dang, I have too many log groups. Oh, I guess we can just refresh from that same log group. So let's look at this here. Let's see. Or is that the same one that we got? Okay, yeah. So it goes downwards and okay, so getting another like permissions error. Oh, the API gateway doesn't have access to the Lambda function. Is that right? So it seems like our hit counter actually managed to write to the database. Oh, we can look in Dynamo, I guess. Yeah, looks like it. So we, but we must also give our hit counter permissions to invoke the downstream Lambda function. Oh, to Lambda. Okay. Grant invoke. Okay, so we run CDK diff. Look, reading ahead a little bit, it looks like should work this time. There it goes. Uh-oh. If you still get 500, give it a few seconds and try again. Sometimes API gateway takes a little bit to flip the endpoint to use the new deployment. So be patient, I guess. All right, let's try it again. Yeah, there it goes. Cool. So now we get the correct response there. Awesome. So let's issue a few requests and see if the hit counter works. You can also use your web browser to do that. So let's go with all right. And if we come back up to Dynamo and then just refresh here, we can see it's been hit 12 times. Nice. Good job. I agree. Okay, so the cool thing about hit counter is that it's quite useful. It basically allows anyone to attach it to any Lambda function that serves as an API gateway proxy backend, and it will log hits to this API. Since our hit counter is a simple Python class, you could package it into a pip module and publish it to PyPy, which is a Python package manager. Then anyone could pip install it and add to the CDK apps. In the next chapter, we will consume a construct library, publish it to pip, which enables us to view the contents of our hit counter from any browser. This is cool because I was kind of curious on like how to do that. Okay, so using construct libraries in this chapter, we'll import a construct library called CDK Dynamo Table Viewer into our project, and we'll install it on the hit counter table. Learning about the table view construct. Browse to the CDK Dynamo Table Viewer on PyPy and read the module documentation. There's some documentation about how to use the table viewer in the README, but it is all focused on TypeScript rather than Python. So we will walk through the process of using third-party constructs in Python. As mentioned in the README page of this library, it is not intended for production use, namely because it will expose contents of your DynamoDB table to anyone without authentication. Yikes. Okay, so looks like we're going to install the library by just running pip install. Okay, so now that we've installed the package, so we need to add a table viewer to our stack. Add the following highlighted to add a table viewer construct to your stack. Okay. So that's over here. So yeah, it's kind of cool because it's like I think what it's trying to show is like here we created like a local construct with a hit counter, and then now we're adding a like external like construct or package from PyPy, I think. So from CDK Dynamo table viewer, import table viewer. Okay, and then down here, call the table viewer and say self view hit counter title. Table equals question marks, huh? I guess we'll fill in the gaps here. So as you'll notice, table viewer requires that you specify a table property. What we want is somehow to access the DynamoDB table behind our hit counter. However, the current API of the hit counter doesn't expose the table as a public member. In this section, we'll expose our table as a property of hit counter so that we can access it from our stack. Nice. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Add a table property to our hit counter. Okay, so now we bring in to our hit counter and just save that real quick. Yeah, similar to what we did before, but it just be another. So instead of the handler, it's a table. Okay. Return self.table. So that we can use it in the base class of our CDK app. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and then we change this to self.table. Now we can access the table from our stack. Nice. Okay, it's making sense now. So we just need to save that and then update our question marks here with hello with counter.table. Diff. Oh, a lot of changes here. So before we deploy, let's take a look at what will happen when we deploy our app. This is just the resources section of the output. Okay. So you'll notice that the table viewer adds another API endpoint, a Lambda function, permissions, outputs, and all sorts of goodies. Okay, so it's all part of the package that we brought in, the CDK Dynamo table viewer, or this table viewer basically will. It's all packaged within there to deploy it. So construct libraries are very powerful concepts. They allow you to add complex capabilities to your apps with minimum effort, obviously. Because I was like, where is all this coming from? I thought it was due to our changes, but like it's literally just coming from this table viewer. Um, so yeah, 3 lines and all those resources get deployed. So constructs can add IAM permissions, expose data to public, or cause your application not to function. We're working on providing you tools for protecting your app and identifying potential security issues with your stacks. But it is your responsibility to understand how certain constructs that you use impact your application, and to make sure you only use construct libraries from vendors you trust. Yeah, that's super important, right? Like, I think if I look at PyPy, I took a look at this like a while ago, and like because I was trying to deploy like a single page application, and I don't know if this isn't the one that I used, but there was one that I was just like, man, this looks a little fishy in how it was like the construct, just like the resources that it was deploying. I was like, I don't know if this is actually what I need, but yeah, I mean, just gotta. I think the point here is that just be careful with which ones that you use, and not to just blindly add a package and deploy, because it could lead to potential like security risks and whatnot. So okay, so gonna hit CK deploy. You'll see the viewer endpoint as an output. Very cool. So it's gonna just it's gonna give us this nice like little like UI, or like front end that will look better than us just um, you know looking at the DynamoDB table in the AWS console to see like the different um, values of the hits and whatnot. So uh, pretty cool. My coffee's getting cold. But yeah, there's a ton. Um, I just saw this one here, CDK time bomb. That looks pretty cool. Like, so you implode your AWS CDK stack after a set amount of time, save money, be happy. That's pretty cool. I mean, it would suck if you were like working on something, but all right. So let's see here. Looks like we got an endpoint for the API still, and then gives us this nice URL. So yeah, I mean, you can see here like it's now like sort of presenting the data from our DynamoDB table and onto this UI, right? So Looks like we can send it some additional requests to, get some more data. So if I come back here and say, we just to do that. So like, I think it said like, hello world. Let's hit hello world and then like, um, or like learning CDK. Hit that a few times. We can even, yeah, just hit the few more times. So if we come back over here and it's already like live refreshing, so it's pretty awesome. Like giving us the amount of hits that we're curling against this path and whatnot. So and it just updates in real time. Actually, let's see if we can bring it over here though, and see if it does it, or how quickly it reloads. Yeah, so it's pretty fairly quick. Like, yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Okay, so interested to see how the table viewer works. It's easy to find out. Hold the control or command and click table viewer. Wait, what? Click on the table viewer identifier right here. Hmm. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, I might take a look at this later just to see, because I'm kind of interested to see like you know how it deploys and updates this front end. It's kind of interesting to me. All right, cool. So I think that is, extra credit. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna go through that. We don't need no stinking extra credit. All right, so looks like oops, that is not what I wanted. I think we just run wow, all over the place here. CDK destroy. This will, clean up all of the resources that we deployed. Cool, and I think that's it. Um, that's it for the Python workshop. Yeah, that was a interesting workshop, and got to, like I said, it was kind of cool to start with using the sample app that they provide, as part of like a boilerplate or skeleton project, and then we created our own like local construct to define the hit counter API, and then we moved on to like consuming or using construct libraries from like PyPy, right? And um, that was pretty cool, and got to see I mean, again, like my favorite part of CDK is, being able to define resources, and not have to write all that. Oh, I should have, before I destroyed it, I should have tried to see like how much cloud formation, raw cloud formation it generates. But I'm sure it was a lot, because we were like halfway through that and it was already at like 280 lines of YAML. So, and the IAM permissions again are super useful, um, to have that, least privilege built into um, a lot of the constructs already, like by default. It's really nice. Yeah, I think that is it for now. And trying to figure out uh, like what the next workshop's going to be that we go through. I'm kind of interested in doing some like AI and ML workshops. A couple have, like with SageMaker, have piqued my interest, and we can continue to use like Python with a lot of those, because it uses some of uh, like Python libraries um, for like some of the machine learning and AI stuff that they do. And or I was thinking doing like more containers, like going through the ECS workshop for Fargate, or and then maybe jumping into Kubernetes, but we will see. So um, more to come on that. I'll probably post, what the next workshop will be, but not too sure right now. But yeah, all right. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.